You never experience the present moment. You think you're here, in this moment, watching this video. Well, you're not. You're already in the past. By the time the light from your screen hits your eyes and your brain turns it into a complete thought, the present moment it was supposed to represent is already history. You're living on a delay, a constant echo of a reality that just happened. And this tiny, imperceptible lag isn't just a fun fact. It opens up a philosophical rabbit hole that could change how you see your life, and maybe even your own free will. Section 1. The shattering premise. This isn't some metaphor, it's a basic fact of how your brain is wired. Everything you perceive, every sight, sound, and touch, is technically out of date. You are never, ever experiencing the world in true real time. Instead, you're experiencing a brilliant, seamless reconstruction of it, delivered to your conscious mind just a fraction of a second late. Neuroscientists have tried to measure this delay. While your brain can perform incredibly fast feats, like getting the gist of an image flashed for just 13 milliseconds, the journey to full conscious awareness takes longer. The time can vary wildly, but it's often in the neighborhood of 80 to 200 milliseconds or even more, depending on what you're perceiving. It might not sound like much, but in that sliver of time, the world has already moved on. The now you're consciously aware of is a ghost, a memory of a moment that has just vanished. For your entire life, your brain has been playing an endless game of catch-up. It takes in a flood of information from your senses, all arriving at slightly different times, and it works tirelessly to organize and present it to you as a single, unified story. What you call the present is actually the polished end product of this incredible editing process. It's a story your brain tells you about what just happened, and it's so well crafted you believe you're watching it live. But you're not. You're always watching the replay. This isn't a flaw in the system. It's a core feature of being human, and it has some truly profound consequences. Section 2. The journey of perception. To get why this delay is a thing, let's follow a single photon of light leaving this screen. Its trip to your eye is practically instant, but the moment it hits your retina, a whole chain of biological events kicks off. First, cells in your retina have to convert that light into an electrical signal. This isn't a quick translation, it's a chemical reaction, and that takes time. Then, that electrical pulse has to travel down your optic nerve, a bundle of over 1 million nerve fibers, to the back of your brain. Each leap from one neuron to the next, across a tiny gap called a synapse, adds another minuscule delay. When the signal finally gets to the visual cortex, the real work starts. Your brain breaks down the raw data, sending information about color, motion, and shape to different specialists for processing. It's solving a ton of problems at once, like using signals from your inner ear to figure out which way is up and correcting the image. It stitches together a high-resolution picture from the tiny, focused part of your vision, filling in the blurry parts from your periphery and literally papering over the blind spot in each eye. And that's just for sight. Your brain is doing the same for everything else. Sound travels slower than light, so thunder always comes after the lightning. Your brain has to account for that. A touch on your toe has a longer trip to your brain than a touch on your nose. All this sensory data, a jumbled mess of signals all arriving at different times, has to be collected, synchronized, and assembled. For some complex stimuli, the whole process from start to finish can take up to 400 milliseconds. Your brain intentionally holds back all this information because showing you the messy, behind-the-scenes processing would be completely disorienting. It waits until it has the clearest picture it can create before it lets you in on it. Section 3. The brain as a storyteller. So if our brains are always a bit behind, why does the world feel so smooth and continuous? Why doesn't life feel like a badly dubbed movie? Because your brain isn't just a passive receiver. It's an active and masterful storyteller. Think of it like a live TV director. They have feeds from a dozen cameras and microphones, all coming in with slightly different delays. Their job is to cut, edit, and sync everything before it goes on air, creating a polished, seamless show for the audience. Your brain does something very similar. To smooth things out, it creates what some researchers call a continuity field, where it essentially averages out visual information. For certain tasks, like judging a person's age in a video, this process can blend information from a window of up to 15 seconds. This is why you don't see the world as a series of disjointed snapshots every time you blink or move your eyes. Your brain is generating a consistent narrative. But it's not just editing the past. Your brain is constantly predicting the future. It runs on a principle called predictive processing. To make up for its own delay, your brain makes a constant stream of best guesses about what's going to happen next. When you see a ball flying through the air, your brain doesn't just show you where it was 100 milliseconds ago. It calculates its trajectory and shows you where it should be right now. This predictive power is what allows a baseball player to hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, something that would be physically impossible if they were only reacting to old information. This whole constructed experience is what some thinkers call the subjective present. It's not an infinitely thin slice of time. Instead, it's a proposed experienced moment that can feel like it lasts for a few seconds. Within this window, your brain weaves together past, present, and future, memory, sensation, and prediction into one cohesive piece of your reality. The continuous flow of time you feel is an illusion, created by your brain stringing these perceptual moments together, one after another. Section 4. The grand illusion of now. This brings us to a huge philosophical question. If our experience of the present is just a neurological construction, then what is now? Physicists and philosophers have been debating this for ages. Einstein's theory of relativity suggests a universal now doesn't even exist. What's happening now depends on where you are. Neuroscience seems to agree, but for a different reason. The now can't be perceived directly, because by the time we perceive anything, it's already over. The present moment you feel is a subjective synthesis, a rich, extended perception built from the echoes of what just happened. And what's truly remarkable about human consciousness isn't its ability to live in the present, but its ability to escape it. Neuroscientists call this chronesthesia, or mental time travel. While there's growing evidence for future-oriented behavior in animals like corvids and primates, humans seem to have an especially sophisticated ability to consciously project ourselves backward into memory and forward into imagined futures. Think about it. Right now, you can remember what you ate this morning, and you can imagine what you might do this weekend. These acts of remembering and planning use different parts of your brain than the ones processing your immediate surroundings. This suggests our awareness of the present is just one of several conscious states we can be in. It's a special mode, for sure, one focused on making sense of the world, but it's no more real than the detailed worlds we build from our memories and plans. We spend our lives drifting between the past and the future. The now is just a brief, constructed layover. Section 5. The free will question. And this leads to the most unsettling question of all. If your conscious mind is always playing catch-up, what does that mean for free will? The classic idea of free will is simple. You think, you choose, you act. That feeling of, "I will do this," seems to be the starting pistol for our actions. But a controversial line of neuroscientific research suggests this might be an illusion. Groundbreaking and heavily debated experiments starting with Benjamin Libet in the 1980s found that our brains can show signs of initiating an action long before we're consciously aware of deciding to do it. In his studies, Libet found a ramp-up of neural activity called the readiness potential that began about half a second before a person reported their conscious intention to flick their wrist. More recent studies using fMRI have tried to predict a person's simple choice, like pressing a button with their left or right hand, and some claim to do so with better-than-chance accuracy, up to several seconds before the person is aware of having chosen. This led to a staggering idea. What if your conscious decision doesn't initiate your action? What if it's one of the last things to happen? The interpretation is that an unconscious brain process decides, and your conscious awareness is just a kind of notification that comes later. Now, this is hugely controversial. Many philosophers and neuroscientists argue that these experiments involve trivial decisions and don't reflect complex, real-world choices. Others suggest the readiness potential isn't a decision at all, but just the brain's background noise or preparation for a potential decision. Still, it forces us to reconsider what free will is. Maybe it's not about initiating the action. Libet himself suggested we might not have free will, but we could have free won't. He argued there's a brief window, maybe around 150 milliseconds, where consciousness can step in and veto an action the unconscious brain has already started. You might not be the driver, but you can still slam on the brakes. This reframes our sense of agency. Maybe our choices aren't made in a single conscious flash, but are the result of complex processes bubbling up from our unconscious, which our conscious mind then has a chance to approve or reject. We've just opened a door into a reality that is far stranger than it seems. The idea that you are living in a delayed, edited, and predictive simulation created by your own mind challenges everything we assume about our experience. If this is bending your idea of reality, subscribe and hit the notification bell, because the implications of this go even deeper. And it leaves us with a question. If your will isn't as free as you thought, what does that mean for responsibility? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Conclusion. So where does this leave us? We are all time travelers, perpetually unmoored from the present. Your perception of the world isn't a live feed, but a delayed broadcast, meticulously edited and polished by your brain to create a stable, predictable reality. The seamless flow of the moment is a beautiful illusion, a story woven from past data and future predictions. This neurological lag forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Our conscious self might not be the supreme commander we imagine it to be. It might be more like a spectator, a witness to a show that has already started. Our sense of control, our feeling of being in the moment, is a phantom, a magnificent trick of the mind that allows us to navigate the world. And it leaves us with one final haunting thought. If your reality is always a delayed broadcast, who or what is watching it live?